everybody. I missed you so much. I couldn't talk all week. I had this tooth infection and my face is a tiny bit swollen, a little bit on the side, but I was a chipmunk most of the week and I just couldn't talk. I still haven't gotten my tooth out. There's a little bit of a wait for oral surgery around here, but thankfully I'm on antibiotics. They are kicking my ass a little bit, but that's alright. As long as it helps with the pain until I can get a freaking doctor to cut it out. So I'm sorry I was gone all week. I don't know if any of you ever had any wisdom tooth issues, but it's like the fucking worst pain ever. I wouldn't wish it on my enemy. It was brutal. But it is still a little bit swollen, so I am still talking a little bit funny, but for the most part, I think people can understand me now. I had to, on Valentine's Day, I actually had a doctor's note because I started my antibiotics that day. Wanted me to double up, and she's like, you're going to be sick. And she was right, because I was sick all day. But so Valentine's Day, I was like this big chipmunk, and then my jaw kind of locked, so I had to call into work like, I know you can't understand me. Thankfully, they were good about it. I had a doctor's note anyway, but it was just funny. Like, I've never had to call into work and, like, speak slowly, and I still don't know if they heard me at all, but they must have got the gist of it, because nobody said anything to me. I handed in my note the next day. But, I'm going to do another makeup video. I'm doing a more modern cat eye. It's not going to be just black and white like it used to be. If you want a traditional cat eye video, I will do it for you. But I'm trying to set you apart a little bit from your friends and the people around you so you don't have the same cat eye. It's also a bit early in the morning. That's why I'm still in my pajamas. I work the night shift. My mom and my aunt left for Arkansas. They're spending some time with my grandparents, so I have the house to myself for at least a week before my family starts coming over, because everybody's off from school. I mean, they might pop by next week, I don't know, but for the most part, I'm here by myself, which is a prelude because I'm moving soon to my new place. I just have to wait for the people to move out and for them to clean and paint when they set around St. Patrick's Day. So my mom's not going to be back for 2 weeks, so I got the house myself for 2 weeks. So I'm going to be recording inside when I get home, because I don't have to worry about waking anybody up, which is going to be kind of like what happens when I get my place back and I set up my studio. I'm just going to come home, eat something, record. You'll get something every night, Monday through Thursday. So thank you for being patient with me. I'm also trying a bunch of new shit on my channel. I'm just going to play and see what happens. Alright, so I'm going to say the products as I'm using them. This is Wet n Wild Face Primer. It has a tiny bit of a color, but not really. And you don't need much of this. Oh wait, let me back up before I forget. Everything gets so dirty in my makeup box. It's like the eyeliner just marks everything up. This is Mary Kay Time Wise. This is like anti-age cream. I can't see it very well. See how dirty it is? Like, how does my eyeliner has a top on it? I don't know why I always get black shit in my makeup. I will work on this, ladies, because I know your makeup bin looks like this too. Of course, I'm not that as organized. This is my makeup bin. I still have the tag on it. I got a new one for my new place. I think my other one was like mint green. I went to a pink. As you can tell, I'm kind of in a pink mood lately. Still in my pajamas though. Not styling right now. Again, very little. This whole thing will last me like a year and a half if I only use a little at a time. But it's really oily for a second, and then it dries, so don't freak out. This is really good anti-age stuff, and it also has SPF in it. Not that I need it right now in central New York, but if you live in a sunny tropical climate, I would look into Mary Kay stuff. I think people sell it. It's still set up like the old school, like women selling it for extra money, but I think you can order it online too. I'm not really sure. Google it. Maybe you'll find a Mary Kay distributor in your area. I have to get this through my stepmom. I asked for it for Christmas. She gets it for me. Thanks, Bonnie. I do use it. See? Sometimes I do forget now. If I don't put it in front of me, I'm like, shit, forgot my face moisturizer. Again, this is the Wet n Wild primer. Just a little bit, just like the lotion. Plus, if you live in a cold climate right now, or even like a really massively dry climate, you always want to put face moisturizer, I can't speak, on your face every day. If you're in a hot climate, have a little bit of a SPF in your, I know you can get foundations with SPF in it. Go to Amazon. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but they're not too bad on Amazon. You can find a decent one. It's just an extra layer of protection with the ozone layer pretty much non-existent. We need to start thinking long-term about our skin, because we're going to have problems that our parents didn't have and their parents didn't have because they had better protection from the sun than we did. I'm a scientist, you know, I'm going to sneak it in there. Sorry. So spend that time and start getting into the routine of putting something on your face. It's not about looking younger. Have you ever just like, especially around here in the cold, like on those really cold days, sometimes my skin just feels super tight on my face, or gets itchy and dry, you know what I mean? Or if you have really oily skin, I don't suggest many moisturizers for you, because oily skin can be made worse by face moisturizer. I would Google something that's made for a moisturizer for your face that's for people with very oily skin. I know people wash their face every day with the cleansers, which is great, but if you do that every day, you also need a moisturizer to back it up. Protect your skin. You only get one epidermis. Well, no. Your skin sheds and then you get new. So you get more than, you know what I mean. Take care of it. Epidermis is your biggest organ. And my running joke is your epidermis is showing. And then for a second and then they're like, oh. I love that joke. I don't care if it's a dad joke. Alright, we're going back to our concealer. You know, I just put this shit all over like a weirdo. It's like, I get to be in kindergarten again. This is how we colored. Until we learn how to color in the lines. I'm not going to put too much on the eye because I got a different plan today, since I am caking on the black eyeshadow. Wipe the extra off. I have 3 of these I'm trying to squeeze out and use before I buy more. Waste not, want not. They're only $1, so sometimes I buy like 2 at a time, and I don't know why I kept opening them. Maybe I kept losing them, and then my makeup box did dump, and I found half my makeup under my bed because I fell asleep with my makeup tray by my feet. I didn't even hear it. I slept through that shit. And I woke up in the morning and I was like, why is my makeup everywhere? And then I was like, oh my god, where did most of my makeup go? I thought like my nephew got in there when I was sleeping or something. Then I found most of it under my bed, and I was like, ugh, must have fallen. I already had bought new stuff. Oh well, it's not like I won't use it. I don't know how I got that many concealer sticks. Pretty good about trying to throw out excess shit. I don't like a lot of clutter anymore. My ex was kind of like a pack rat a little bit. Hung on to everything. Not like a disgusting hoarder, you know what I mean? Not that. If you are a hoarder, I've cleaned for a few. Like, I know it's a disease. It's not your fault. I'm not trying to make fun of you, but as a cleaner, you know the truth of some of those, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. That was a bit rude. Check myself. I know. You can yell at me in the comments. It's okay. But, anyway, I don't like to hang on to anything because it drove me crazy for 15 years. Just all this shit around that we didn't need. I grew up in a house, like, if you didn't clean your room, and my mom would ask us probably 3 times before she would snap, if we didn't clean our room, my mom would just fill up the trash bag, put all of our toys in it, and set it out by the curb. And if you didn't catch it in time, bye-bye toys. Like, she had 5 of us, she was on her own, and she worked like 3 jobs and went to school, so she didn't have time to do our shit. She had to take drastic measures. It works, though. Like, after like 2 or 3 times, we never not cleaned our room because we always ended up losing shit when she did that. Couldn't find our favorite socks or our favorite toy. Something. Well, clean your room. You won't lose shit. Alright, I'm going to do this LA Colors. It's just eye primer. Especially around the eye, really good. Anyway, so I think I finally might have this pilot on a good track. Again, I was going to just move on, but it's really eating at me, this pilot. I'm like, no. Normally I would go on and come back, but I'm being stubborn. And despite my best efforts for a whole week of writing, I'm still on chapter 1, or the pilot, as you would call it. It's alright. It's going to be the hardest part, because I'm explaining a lot at once, but like I said, I had to do it in a way that isn't, you have to do it in layman's terms, because if you don't do it in layman's terms, it's just going to get complicated, and if you make it too complicated, the book gets boring, and people won't move past the first chapter or watch past the pilot. So not only does it have to be expressed in a entertaining way, an easy way, you gotta pop a lot of stuff at them. So when they get into episode 1 or later in chapter 1, they know what the fuck's going on. A little bit. From the main character's perspective in season 1, which is Brenna. Brenna Taylor, but I made her name Taylor like the occupation Taylor. Just to pay homage to that dying industry we need more of, seamstress and tailors, ASAP. Sorry, I needed your drink. It's dry as balls in here today. Alright, so I'm going with my Maybelline Satin Liquid. Don't die. This is my favorite one out of all the foundations I use. Again, I have my little mirror down here. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, it's just easier for me to see than the computer screen. Where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about this chapter. So I am changing a little bit about what I discussed about the ship. I mean the island ship. I don't know what I'm calling it yet. My characters, like Brenna describes it as an island and a ship. Because the truth of it is, there's like real waterfalls and real soil, like you can grow food. There's animals. Like on top of the island is earth. They like filled it in with dirt so that they could have soil. And they planned it for the fact that there was going to be erosion and maybe there won't be any more. So like this was basically an end of the world experiment they were working on before the end of the world happened, and it just happened to save everybody's ass. It was like one of those like weird contingency projects, like Trump and his space shit. You know what I mean? I was a little bit inspired by that. I was like, Space Force, if we can have a fucking Space Force and people buy into that, we could buy into the fact that the government would be working on this secret livable island in case the world ever turned into Waterworld. Have you ever seen that movie? If you haven't, with Kevin Costner, you need to, because that's a badass movie. It's one of my favorites when I was little. Especially because there was a little girl in it. And I was a little girl and I was like, yeah, I got a map on my skin. I used to draw on it. I was a weird child. Whatever. I had a good time in there. My dome piece. Ugh, my eyeballs today are itching. Because I went from beautiful yesterday. It was like 50 fucking degrees in Syracuse, New York in fucking February. That never happens. And it was raining, but it was beautiful out. Like, it wasn't even cold. And today it is a blizzard, snowing. Don't blink in Syracuse, I'm telling you. It's the worst. Anyway, so we got to work yesterday and found out that the mask mandate that New York State has been fighting to fucking keep forever and a day is finally gone. Well, for right now, they might change it. They have a tendency of changing rules. Apparently, when the vaccine came out, they told people that if they got vaccinated, they wouldn't have to wear masks, and eventually they made them put the mask back on, as we all know how the story crumbled and people were pissed. And so now I think I'm a little bit nervous. Like, I don't want to get used to not wearing my mask just for them to be like, hey, guess what? It's also a good thing because that means the surges we were getting around here, which was a lot, is going down. For them to pull the mask mandate, just people are over it. Like, somebody quit at my job just because they were, like, sick of wearing it. And the governor had already said on the news that we could take it off. And my job was still, it's up to the discretion of the companies at this point in our state. And so people were getting frustrated that our job wasn't uplifting the ban, I guess. I mean, I heard someone quit. I didn't see, so could be a rumor. There's a lot of people out this week on vacation too. I try not to listen. I haven't been there that long, but I have learned as of late. People know your business way too much in that place. They definitely don't follow HIPAA law. As far as, like, gossiping. And I did keep my mask on a little bit because I do have an open sore in my mouth from my tooth. And I was like, I'm on these antibiotics, and that lowers your immune system, and I just kind of want to protect this hole in my face. So I was leaving it on, and it says on the memo that if you're unvaccinated, they strongly recommend that you keep your mask on. And I was like, great, everybody knows in this fucking factory that I'm unvaccinated because I can't have it. Like, even if I wanted to, I can't get it because of my genes. But not like jeans, pants, kids, like body jeans. So, like, I kind of feel like this is a setup. Like, if the surge happens, I'm just going to get, like, blamed for everything because they go hard for the unvaccinated in this state. Like, it's bad. I feel like I'm a Japanese American in World War II. I feel like they're just going to start putting us in our own communities. And I say that with a giggle, but at the same time, I wouldn't doubt it. I would not be surprised if that was the next. Like, what are we going to do with all these people who refuse to conform? Let's just put them in their own community. They're a danger to the rest of us. I can totally picture that happening. I have zero faith in the government anymore, if you couldn't tell. Alright, so we're using LA colors. This was like $1 something. Very simple, very cheap. I think I even got this at the Dollar Tree, guys. Like, well, it used to be the dollar store. Now it's the $1.25 store. Can't call yourself the dollar store anymore. And we're using the LA colors, my Christmas palette that I have, but we're only using the silver. Alright, so we're going to start with the tippy top. Obviously, we're going white today. Tippy top is like the sky in your painting. Oh, by the way, I'm going to fix this later. It's just to catch all the black shit. It's probably going to fall when I do my corners for this cat eye look. Anytime you're using black, prep and prime as much as you can because it's brutal. Just like I said, where your brow stops, down, and just to the end of your brow. Just on the tippy top. It's not much color. It's just enough to give it a little bit of a shimmer when you turn your face or when the light hits you. Like I said, this is like this. If you're doing a painting, this is the sky. You can't just, well, I guess you could leave your canvas blank if you really wanted to. It's like painting the beach and the ocean, but not putting like a beautiful sky on top of it. And we're going to the gray next. We're going to do the crease in this pretty gray. And this is where that glittery shimmer will also go on top of. Maybe. I didn't really design this. I'm just going with the flow. And sometimes I like to play. I don't like doing the same stuff twice. But you guys haven't seen this one yet, so it's not really twice for you. And like I said, this is a new age cat eye. It's not like the old black and white version I used to do, or people used to do. This is like 2022 version. That layered texture, lots of, I feel like we're going back to like a mix of the 90s and 80s, like bright colors, funky patterns, really extensive bright eyeshadows, which I love it. I was old enough to witness the makeup, but I wasn't old enough to put the makeup on and get away with it in the 80s and early 90s. So now I get to remake those looks that I would see like on my aunts and my mom's friends. I used to watch people's makeup. I remember that being a little kid. Just being like, wow, look at your makeup. Because I wasn't allowed, my dad would be like, freak out if I wore makeup before a certain age. No, you're too little. Trying to keep me little for as long as he could. I was his youngest daughter. I was a peanut. I could do nothing. Refused to let me grow up for a teeny bit until I was like 12. Then he was like, all right. Alright, so we're going to put the silver on top of the crease. Plus, I was like a really naive and extra trusting kid, so I'm sure my dad was like, oh my god, you put makeup on this kid, all the child better fly. So, like, I would have definitely been one of the kids for a little bit there before I learned better. Before 7, I would have probably gotten anyone's van, like, okay, sure, I'll take candy. Like, I would walk up to people and just, I was shy, but at the same time, if you were out in public, I was shy, but if you were in my community, we were a small community, so it was very rare that I saw someone that I didn't see my whole life. So I'd go right over them and be like, hey, how's your day? Chatty Cathy, only to people I knew. And I was like, always trying to help people, like, you know, the sweet ones always get in trouble with the perverts. I'm sure my dad was just like, I can't even imagine. I don't even know what my parents thought, but like that's all I can think about. My niece and nephews, like listening to all these true crimes. I'm like, oh my god, all these fucking perverts out here. I will kill them all. Like, stay away from them. And don't ever check. I went on that website. We're putting white, the same white we put on the top, on the lid now. Forget to explain things sometimes. That website that shows you like all the convicted sex offenders in your area. Oh my god. I haven't done it for here where my mom lives, but my last house, it looked like a fucking Christmas display of lights lighting up. There's like at least 3 houses on every street around me with a listed convicted pedophile. Like, Jesus, I picked the one housing development that all the pedophiles live in. That's fantastic. So, when I was doing daycare, I was fucking very cautious about the kids being outside, and it was just a nightmare. I can't imagine. Poor parents. Like, some people worry about illness, and I worry about, like, school shooters and, like, the pervert fuckers that try to touch your kids. Like, that keeps me up at night. Like, I will go to jail. I will go the fuck to jail if someone ever hurt my kid. No. I'm not going through the courts. No. I'm turning into a vigilante. This person is dying at my hands. Touch my babies? Most mothers and fathers feel that way. So, I know I'm not alone in there. Like, fuck yeah. Kill that son of a bitch. I feel like playing with a little bit of color here. I should do silver on top. Yay. Alright, so I'm going to go extra thick with this white. Get it nice and bright. And then we'll go back over that gray. Also, yes, I know I hold this weird. You gotta just, like, people have tried to teach me how to hold brushes. You gotta just hold it your way, man. That helps you with your art. Don't let nobody tell you, like, if you go to school and stuff, like, hold your brush like this, man. Don't listen. I mean, listen, because you probably have to pass a test. But after that test, you hold that brush the way you want to. You are the artist. Just go right back over that gray so it sticks out more than the white. So, like, I don't know if I told you in the other one, I'm trying the villain in my season 1. Like, he's a crazy cult leader type. Like, I based him off of all the horrific cult leaders I've studied. And so, you know, they always want to be called something. There's always, like, a god complex. I'm like, what am I going to have this fucker call him? Like, make people call him? I was like, at first I was like, make him be the president, like he nominated himself. You know, it's the end of the world. When he got to the island, there was a president of the island, but I was like, no. That's not good enough for this guy's ego. So I think I'm going to call him the emperor. And I think he's going to be very old school with his methods, which would, like, there's obviously going to be an obsession with him with civil, ancient times. And it's going to be worked into, you know, what kind of job he had and the things that he did in his old life. Like, everything about this horrific man is magnified. So, for somebody who was really good and kind before the end of the world, now everything has flipped the script and mentally in there. Alright, so now I'm taking the solid black. And we're going to do the corner. Before I get into my glitter happy on the eyelid, I just want to make sure this part is locked in. Again, take your time. Go as far out on your eye as you would like. In the cat eye world, the more dramatic, the better. Cat eye is all about the drama. So don't be afraid. Once I did halfway dark, it looked pretty cool. But I would only recommend that for an evening activity because it is, like I said, pretty dark. It also kind of is like a Cruella de Vil kind of look. Because cat eye to me, I always play with like black, white, and silver. But I also do a, because I have hazel eyes, I do a brown cat eye with all different golds and coppers. And like a dark brown in the corner instead of black. So you can play with different colors and still use the cat eye concept if you want. But the traditional sense of a cat eye is black and white and gray, but mostly black and white. I mean, I don't remember the era that cat eyes came. like the 60s or 50s. Put it in the comments if you know. We can all learn together. But it's old school cat eye is. That's why it's black and white. And I think back then, for a woman to wear black on their eyes was scandalous. Other than black eyeliner, you know what I mean? I think they actually invented the cat eye, or at least it got picked up in, modern world. I think when that Cleopatra movie came out. Again, don't quote me on it. These are things that I read a long time ago. I could be remembering it wrong. People say cat eye and they think of Egypt. Well, some people do. The truth about Egyptians is they didn't have very many colors. They did use berries. They did color their lips. Their eyes were mostly charcoal. And that was probably pretty fucking brutal to have on your eye. Or get in your eye all the time. Wearing makeup back then was probably not that great of an idea. The shit that they would put on their face. They would rub color on their cheek with berries, which obviously stains your skin. I don't think that part was bad. If anything, that's like natural antioxidants on your face. But the rest of it, I wouldn't have done. There is some talk that they use bones of animals to make some of their makeup and their tools, which makes sense for the time. They used a lot of everything they killed. I mean, you had to. Waste not, want not in that world. Just make sure they're as even as possible. I'm going to clean it up a little bit. Make sure no white and gray is popping through, that it's a solid black here. Alright. And for dramatic effect, if this is where you're ending this look, all you gotta do is do your eyeliner and mascara and put your eyelashes on if you're into that. But I like to play. So we're going a little glittery today, but I realize glitter isn't everybody's thing. I am gonna play with the silver again though. Little bit of shine over here. It'll make sense for what I'm about to do. Make sure you wipe your brush before you go to the next eye so the black from what you just last touched doesn't get on the rest of your gray line. I wish it would stop snowing. It's February, so August. I can't be like, well, what the fuck? It's February. Why is it snowing? Because it's February. I forgot to get out my handy dandy little glitter brush. Here you are, a little glitter brush. That's actually pretty fast. Usually takes me a minute to find that shit. It's little. Woo! My eyeballs. It's like the sun from the window is hitting it at the right angle for me to just be like, what the fuck? I'm squinting. It's because the bright sun, which we don't see very often around here, is out. Happy Friday morning. The sun is here. It's a good morning. Again, I'm just going to stay right on the white. I'm not going into the gray or the black. Just a little. Pop and flare. So this really pretty cat eye look. This would be great for like New Year's, black and white occasion. if you're wearing a white ball gown or a white outfit or a black outfit or a gray outfit. Or all of the above. If you're wearing a black and white pattern and you add this look, it would be a really cool mix of 60s, 70s vibes to go with your outfit if you think along those terms. Why am I so stuffy today? I don't like it. Alright, so. Oh, man. It's weird that your eyelashes just fall out sometimes. We should, like our animals. I still remember my brother got these little chameleon-like things as his pet. Because my mom, she let us have a cat. But that took years. And she just wanted things that were easy to take care of. Obviously, single mom with 5 kids didn't have time for a fucking dog and shit. You know what I mean? So, sorry. We got like hamsters and fish. We had those beta Chinese warfish. Anyway, so my brother convinced my mom to get him these little chameleon things, and they got out of his cage, and we had one of those old school heating grates, and we could like see each other from my room to his room. We could see each other through the grate, and we could talk to each other, which is cool as a kid. It was like a walkie-talkie system. We'd like pass notes through there. But anyway, his lizard things got out, and they were coming through the vent, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh, your things are coming in my room. And I tried to catch one, and the tail shed. Like, they can just shed their fucking tail if they're scared or whatever. And I was like, I broke it. I was so upset. My brother's like, no, they do that. I really thought I heard it. But at the same time, I was skeeved out that they were coming into my room. It's like Jurassic Park. Like 2 little fucking chameleons just poking their head out of my grate. I was like, the fuck? That's freaky. And, my hamster got out in winter. And we looked everywhere. And I was like calling it, thinking it was going to hear me like a dog. And I was so upset. Come spring, we found it frozen to. Somehow, we had like a little garage thing, but it was attached to the house, and it didn't have any heating in it. It was just like a room full of shit we stored, and it got in there, and it got itself frozen to the floor, and I was like mortified. God, my poor mother. That's when she was eventually like, no more pets, can't deal. Between my brother's lizards getting out all the time and hamsters being frozen to the floor, sending fishies to toilet heaven. She always had some crying kid. And I was an animal lover too, so I was the worst fucking one. If there's like a dead animal anywhere in a radius of my house, I'd be like, Mom, we gotta save it. She'd be like, oh my fucking God. Listen, the thing is dead. There's maggots in it. Get away from it. Weirdo, you can't save it. That's a weird child. I remember my dad hit a deer. We were driving in we called Big Red in his van, and it just came out and it hit the van, and luckily it was enough to scare us, and I think it dented the van a little, but, the poor deer died from it. It was just laying there. And I get out and I was like yelling at my dad, like calling him a murderer. I'm like, help me pick it up and put it in the van. We gotta take it to the hospital. That's how I said it. I couldn't even say hospital. Like, we gotta take it to the hospital, Dad. I'll never live it down. I was like, Daddy, no, we can't just leave it here. And the cops came because it's illegal here to leave a deer on the side of the road, but he had a van full of kids and needed some help. So the officers came and clearly saw how upset I was. They gave me one of those Dare Bears. Remember those? So I was just like distraught, like a human died. I'm like, we hit it and it died. It was like so dramatic. Little girls are the funniest shit. Like, I should have had a reality show. I was extra about animals. Like, my dad would rip a worm in front of me and I'd be like, don't do that. Extra. My poor dad. I was just very sensitive. Anyway, so it took my dad like forever to get me in this van, and I was so mad at him because he wouldn't put the deer in the fucking thing, and I didn't understand that, you know, there's animal hospitals and there's I was very little at this time, so my dad, you know, as annoying as it was probably also really cute. Like, my kid's gonna grow up and, like, I don't know, be a vet or something. But so he finally gets me in there and gets me all calmed down and explains what's going on. I don't really remember that conversation. I do remember we went and got some candy because I think he just felt bad. Like, oh man, you know, my kid thinks I'm a horrible animal killer. So I got some sweets and we went back and watched Garfield, and I pretty much forgot all about it. But my dad, you know, he tells that story from time to time. I remember when Lizzie wouldn't get in the car and called me a murderer. It was great. Sorry, Dad. But, you know, I feel like mediums and empaths in general are just really sensitive kids. Like, we feel things differently, and we don't know how to express that because we're kids, and we don't know that it's weird to be extra about. Oh my god. You couldn't take me anywhere as a kid. If someone was being mean to an animal, you're a jerk. Kick them, step on their toes. Don't do that. This one guy, I think it was like 10 or 12. We went to New York City to see a play that weekend, which wasn't uncommon. And my mom, we didn't have very much, but back then, you know, we were only 4 or 5 hours from the city, so we didn't even have to stay in the city. We could just go there for the day. So we were going down there, and we were in Central Park, and this guy, like, whipped his horse to go faster for, you know, where they do the tourist rides through the park, which I don't ever fucking do. I just, oh, God. If you're a native, like, most of those people take really good care of the horses, and I'm not saying they're abusive, but I just think in the summertime that is the most cruelest thing you could ask an animal to do, to be surrounded in pavement, and it's like 50 times hotter for a person. Imagine an animal, and you can just see the sweat pouring off them. How many times a day they have to pull people, and they fill those things on an average day. They fill those fuckers right up, so they're over capacity. And, you know, they do rest the animals. Obviously, if the animals die, then they lose money, but not all of them, you know, treat those animals good. So I can't, like, it ruins the whole experience still to this day. Just by seeing them running by me, I'm like, just want to cut you all free. It's so mean. First of all, there's not even that much scenery, and they're on the same fucking loop every day. I have to stare at the same walls, and I'm going crazy. Poor animals. Animals are never meant to be tamed. Horses are the most freest spirits. Like, you have to work to break a horse. It kills my heart when someone breaks a horse and they take that wildness away. I literally want to punch you right in your dinkle or your face. Okay, crush that spirit. I don't like it. Sorry, I thought the male guy was here. But I love the horses that refuse to be broken. Oh my, yes. Get them, kick them. Woohoo! I love those horses. Like, they get so mad, like, I bought this horse and it just won't let me ride it and it won't do what I want it to. And inside I'm like, it's a strong spirit, and I like that horse. And if I had enough money, I'd buy it and just let it run around wherever it wants to. I would never even put a saddle on it. Yeah, that's kind of far my line. Like, oh, you have horses? Can we ride them? No, actually, you can't. So they're not put on this earth for you to sit your big fat ass on their backs. Okay? I don't like people. Well, one person on a horse probably is not bad for them, but I'm just, in my mind, I just picture them. I've ridden horses before, and the whole time I'm riding them, I just feel bad. I'm like, I'm sorry that you have to carry me everywhere. I don't like it. I just feel bad for the animals. I can't enjoy it enough. Like, I love elephants, and I would love an elephant ride, but I feel like I would just hug at the same time. Like, I'm sorry if I'm hurting your back. But I love you. I love elephants. Like, I literally I'd rather just hang out with elephants than people. Can I just do that? It's their eyeballs for me. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to look at an elephant. Oh my God, I spent an hour at the zoo just with the elephants. And I do this every time. I can't help it. It's just how it is. But their eyes, they're just so smart. They have like otherworldly knowledge, I swear to God. And I feel like they know that I'm a medium. Because it's always the elephants that, like, I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, hi, Ellie. And they always come. They're like, this person loves elephants more than they love people. And I'm going to come over there and give them some love. They just must feel it in my soul. Like, I love you so much. I just want to be you, elephant. You're my idol. Yeah, I love them that much. Like, I feel bad, though, that they're pregnant that long. Holy shit. Of all the mammals on this earth, ladies, you can't complain about being pregnant. Learn about what the elephants. First of all, it's like over double the time we're pregnant or some crazy shit like that. Their babies are so big. Like, ugh. Can you imagine the poor recovery on the elephant's woohoo for that baby coming out? Good Lord. And they're so smart when they come out because they cook longer than any other animal on this planet. And it's true, elephants have very good memories. They're very, very resilient. They're very smart. They're very protective of each other. They're deep lovers. They're very compassionate animals. Out of all the animals, elephants show the most compassion. They also can paint. And they have creative tendencies. And they love music. Love that music. They did this experiment. And I watched it. I wish I could remember what it's called. It wasn't on. It was before YouTube and all that. It was like one of them National Geographic kids videos that they used to send in the mail. The 90s kids, you probably know what I'm talking about. But it was like they played rock music, classical music, like all different kinds of stuff. And every elephant, it within like all their genetic traits. So that when they first came in, like there was areas so the elephant could only hear the one kind of music at a time. The elephants would literally, like I said, every single elephant would like sample every music. And they wouldn't stand by one longer until they had gotten all the way through. So you have one elephant go in, it was a male. It would listen to the classical for a minute. It would listen to the rap for a minute. And it would go all the way down the line. And then you would see that male go back to the one it really liked and kind of stay there for a minute. And then you'd see then they would somehow get that elephant out with like a treat. The next one would come in, it would be a female. She would go all the way through and listen to the music and then go find the one she like. They're smart. Like, I was so impressed. Even as a little kid, I'm like, they're listening to all of them. It's like, I like that one. I'm like, yeah, that one's nice. No, that's my jam. Like, that's how they were. And I just fell in love with them for that alone. I'm like, and some of them would like to the music if they stood there long enough. I'm like, they dance too? And then I went to the zoo for a school trip and I saw them painting and I'm like, they paint? They dance? They like music? They're super smart. Their eyes are so big and precious and they just look at you like, hello, I am a little elephant. Come over here and talk to me. But in the wild, they're a lot different. They're very protective. You can't just go up to an elephant in Africa. Keep that in mind. It's not the zoo. I mean, I'd have to fight myself. I'm like, Elise, just running across the safari. Don't run away from me. I love you. I'm like a weirdo. I love elephants. I literally cried when I saw the elephant took the brush in his trunk and it drew like an eye, and then it drew another eye, and then it drew the smile, and then it drew a line for the nose, and I was like, the elephant's telling me to be happy. I can't. It was like overly emotional. I don't know if that was an empath. Like we were bonding. Like that elephant just wanted me to know, like, I can do some shit. I hear shit all day. I'm smarter than I look. Humans think they have me figured out, and I don't. You look sad. Maybe you should do this. You know what I mean? They're just so smart, sweet. I love them. And as much as I've studied the good stuff, I've studied sad things. Poor elephants. Anyone who hurts an elephant, I don't like you. Cut off their horns, I don't like you. I will fuck your day up. No. Hurt those precious animals. That's a black heart. To look in those eyeballs and be able to hurt them. I would never be afraid of an elephant. Even in the wild, even though they're very defensive and protective, they're very good judges of character. I think they sense better than most animals when they're truly in danger, when someone's just scared. It's like they can assess the situation like a human can. They just can't talk, and I feel like if they could talk, they'd probably be smarter than us. They're also very funny and stubborn and mischievous. They love practical jokes. They're a bit territorial with other elephants, which I find adorable. Like, don't touch my toy. That's my ball. Like, they will literally slap each other with the trunks for touching the wrong toys. They're very dominant. They love each other at the same time. Like, they literally will fight other elephants for the other one. But if you touch, like, if you lay in their spot, if you touch their favorite toy, pops off on the elephant. Have you ever seen the elephants fighting? They don't really want to hurt each other. It's hilarious because, like, just kind of, I feel like they slap each other on the ass with the trunk, or they just kind of shove each other like jerk. You know what I mean? They're not really trying to hurt each other, but it's funny. I remember at the end of the elephant show, they were trying to get the elephants they had this huge wild place. Obviously elephants are huge, and they had a section where they would put them in where they could swim and people could see them, but when they were done being viewed for a while, they could go into this big area and just run around and be free. So they were trying to get the elephants to come out of the free place to go play in the water. It was a pretty hot day, so most of the elephants were like running like, yes, time to swim. I'm dying, it's roasting hot over here. And a few of them were like, fuck that, I don't want to go on display, I don't want to go to school. And they were the younger ones that were smaller, and they were like fighting and tumbling, and it just reminded me of kids. Like, the parents were like, come on, knock it off. And the kids are like, he did it, no. I just love them. I could go on about elephants for days. But anyway, this is my traditional cat eye look, or mixed with modern, because I added glitter, I added gray, and there you have it. I think I did go a little bit higher on the side, so I'm gonna fix that, but you don't need to watch that. Just make sure that you have them equal, you know what I mean, or it will look a little funny, and try to do it at an angle for the cat eye. You can go up thicker and really dramatic if you want to. That would be a good look for a night look as well, or the club. It is the weekend. I do not discriminate. I used to do that. Now I'm just too old. I love you all. See you all soon. I will be doing some readings tonight as well, so look forward to that. Bye. Have a good day.